This is Just a Few Questions. I'm your host, Marc Sims from Chicago. And I have Sergio Mims on the line. Sergio Mims. How you doing, Sergio?
I'm fine.
Sergio, I think you're a tad older than me, so you're part of the age group that we really should be concerned with during this
You're
coronavirus
saying I'm an
crisis.
old man.
No, you only got me by a few years, and but we supposed to be concerned. Hey, I'm not at the best health, so I would be in that category too. So how you holding up?
I'm holding up fine.
Okay, so you have any theories or any? You're not a conspiracy theorist. I am per se. What you feel about this? What are your thoughts about this coronavirus?
Okay, this is a serious situation, right? But, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do have some questions about this. Like, for example, why is it that so many countries have a much, much lower death rate from the coronavirus than the United States? For example, countries such as Mexico, Australia, Austria, Canada, Germany, Norway, Israel, they have extraordinarily low death rates compared to the number of positive cases. And just looking at what has been going on in Italy or in Spain or United States, what's going on? I don't know. Now, I have read articles about why the death rate in Italy and in Spain are so high, which kind of makes logical sense. But still, they're still much lower than the United States. And I'm going like, what's going on? What are they doing that we're not?
Oh, hey, I'm not what's the fancy term? Epidemiologist. I wouldn't know. I only read on stuff on the internet. You know what I'm saying? But I tell you this much: we don't have enough testing in this country, and when we get more testing, we will have a more accurate detail what's going on here.
Right. We don't have it now. You know, this whole situation has been made a lot more worse because of the policies and decisions made at the White House by Trump and his administration. This whole situation could have been a lot less drastic and a lot less serious if Trump had taken everything seriously. At the very beginning.
Hey, but the Trump supporters still love him. His approval ratings are very, very high.
Well, approval ratings from what? See, tell me what. Yes, I have seen polls that said people think he's doing a good job, but most of that you can define to the the rally around the flag effect. You know, when there's a grave situation in the country, a crisis, people naturally gravitate around the president. It never lasts. When George H.W. Bush had the Iraq War, his approval rating shot up to 91%.
Oh, definitely.
Only to lose to Bill Clinton.
Only 9/11. Oh, you talking about Daddy Bush? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm thinking Baby Bush and 9/11.
Bush, right.
You go back.
He shot up
You're
to
right.
over 90% until but he lost to Bill Clinton.
Right.
So, and on top of that, Trump is polling at 60%, which still is not 90%. So, yes. Some people like what he's doing. Yes, of course, the die-hard Trumpers will never give him up no matter what happens. But I just want to see how long this effect will go on. Now, as of what's happened as of today, we're testing this. We're taping this podcast. The New York City State is going to begin this week testing the drug that Donald Trump promoted at his press conference. The one I can't pronounce the word, but the one which Andrew Fauci shot down. But they're going to start testing it this week in New York on patients who have mild and severe cases of coronavirus. They're saying that in Japan, and there's some independent studies that show that this thing actually could work, this anti-malarial drug. Now, if it turns out it does work and they show great improvement, you mean to tell me that Trump will become the hero?
He could be. You know how
Because
this works. You know how
he
this
was telling
works.
people about this drug in the first place?
Well, we'll see what happens because let's see how this the virus spreads through California and Texas, and in the South, other than New Orleans. Because we'll see how this plays out. Because let's say at the end of this drama, whenever it ends, looks like there's no end. But let's say we have I should say only we have like 150,000 deaths. Let's say quadruple what the normal flu does every year. There are people who say, you know what was all this ruckus over 150,000 deaths? You know what I'm saying? There'll be people who are going to say this.
Well, hey, I say it. It's like, for example, every year on average, 675,000 people die every year in the United States from heart disease. Okay? Now, this morning, Andrew Fauci said that there could be, not that there was, but there could be as many as anywhere from 100 to 200,000 deaths from the coronavirus. First of all, I understand what he's doing because it's what any public health official wants to do, is that they always try to give you the bad news first up front, the worst outcome scenario. That's what they always do. So then they can always go back and say, when it doesn't happen, they can say, well, we erred on the side of caution, and because of what we were saying, things weren't as bad as they can be. But 100 to 200,000 deaths from this virus,
No, you can't. You really can't say. Yeah, I'll predict 150. I'm not an expert. Well, let's do 150. But the thing about it is that they had to do all. We're in this lockdown right now here in Chicago. I don't know when it's going to stop, but they had to do it because if they didn't do all these lockdowns, it may have been 500,000. It may have been 1 million. So we'll see what happens. But let me close out this part of the podcast, part one. Sergio Mims, I want to ask you the question: how do we as a nation slowly get back to develop or create a new normal?
Well, I will tell you this. I really can't answer your question right now because this country in modern times has never experienced anything like this before. Now, back in 1918, when you had the Spanish flu epidemic, which killed over 100 million people worldwide, it was a staggering number. And I'm talking about 100 million people worldwide back then, okay, which was a staggering loss of life compared to the world population back then. The country managed to get back to normal in about a year. Now, situations are different. I can't compare now to back to 1918. Things are much, much different. This country is much politically polarized. It's a whole different world out there. But I have to believe that eventually and slowly we will get back to normal. There will be some changes, without question. I think people will be more cautious, particularly cautious about germs and where they sit and how they relate to each other. But I think that we will eventually get to some semblance of normality eventually. I can't tell you if it's going to be sooner or later. It depends how long this situation is going to continue. The sooner this thing ends, the sooner we can get back to normality. The longer this thing goes on, I can't make any predictions.
Sergio Mims here in Chicago, co-founder of the Black Harvest Film Festival. You are the co-founder of the Black Harvest Film Festival here in Chicago. Stand by, Sergio, so we can do a part two. Talk about your buddy Joe Biden, the coronavirus, and all kind of other stuff.